Some of them are made up by marketing, and some of them are actually biological terms.
Perfect. This is what we all want to know. Like, what's the truth here? Like,
Yes.
Would this help us understand that?
Okay, well, there's three words that we'll define. So the first is probiotic. A probiotic is actually the living organism itself. So we talk about the bacterial strains, and if you buy probiotics, you'll see on the ingredients list things like that start with lactobacillus or bifidobacterium, all the things nobody can pronounce on the back of the label. They usually have two names and they're italicized. Those are probiotics. Those are names of bacterial strains. And so those are what the probiotics are. The prebiotics are the food that feed those strains. And so we talk about our food, it's actually a lot of it is the same as the food for these bacterial strains. So these fibers, polyphenols, all of these, nutrition plays such an important role in our microbiome because it's the source of food, the prebiotic. So the probiotic is the organism, the prebiotic is the food that feeds them. And then, well, what do these probiotics do? Like, what are they making? These are called postbiotics. So, they're generating all these small molecules, and those are called postbiotics. So you have prebiotics, it's the food. Probiotics is the organism. Postbiotics is the small molecules they make. And a lot of drugs try to mimic those postbiotics.
So what are those postbiotics doing? What's their function?
They're basically signals in your body. And so one kind of really well-studied postbiotic is called butyrate. And butyrate is really well known for helping you build your gut lining. It's actually also can stimulate GLP-1 production. And so these are the signaling molecules. And so a lot of pharmaceutical drugs are trying to mimic those signaling molecules because they're the things that are telling your body, like, turn on the immune system, turn on the inflammatory response, speed up your heart rate, metabolize these sugars. And so those are all the signals kind of running around.
So would it be safe to say the probiotics are super important because they need to create these products like butyrate? Can we just take butyrate? Is there a shortcut just to go straight there? Or why are probiotics the main source of the main target for action?
Yeah, it's a great question because you can actually go buy butyrate. And the question is like, well, if I can just get straight to the postbiotic, why don't I do that? And one of the interesting things about, let's just keep going with butyrate, is that there have been a lot of animal studies that have shown that if you just supplement with butyrate, you can actually cause incredible weight loss. You can have a lowering of A1C. You can have all these amazing benefits. And yet that hasn't translated to humans. And the biggest difference between the animal studies and the human studies is that they gavage feed the animals, meaning they stick a tube down their throat and they send the microbes right to that gut microbiome location. Well, none of us is going to do that on a regular basis. We're just taking a pill. And so, and even people have done it up the other end, the enema, neither of those work. And the question is, why? Why wouldn't that be good enough? And so I think the way to think about it is butyrate is a molecule that's actually used by all your colon cells as a source of energy. So think all your colon cells want that butyrate. They want that small molecule. It's like money. So if I was going to give you $1 million, would you rather I said, hey, I put it in this suitcase and I'm delivering it to your doorstep and handing it to you? Or would you rather I called you and said, hey, I just scattered it all over Highway 101. You can go pick it up there anytime you want. Well, of course you would rather the first, because the second, what's going to happen? I'm going to scatter it all over the highway. People are going to pull their cars over, and then they're going to grab all your dollar bills. And by the time you show up, it's going to be gone. And that's literally the butyrate. When you take a pill, all along that digestive path where the butyrate is being, you're waiting for it to get to delivery, it's actually being absorbed and picked up by all those colonic cells. So by the time it gets to the gut microbiome where it's supposed to have its action, there's like nobody left. And so this is the big reason, the big hypothesis of why you can't really shortcut it by just taking the butyrate. You got to take the microorganisms. They have to actually take a foothold in your microbiome and start to grow there. And then they make the butyrate. And then when they make the butyrate, they're literally at the door of who's supposed to be getting that signal. They're giving that dollar bill straight to the receptor. So,
wow. I think it's a common problem with most drugs, right? It's the target, like delivery of the goods, delivery of the actual drug to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And so if we need to get to the distal colon, which is like so far away, like we just mentioned with the whole digestive tract, it seems like such a process. Yeah. How do we get there? How does our food, like if I'm eating a lot of fiber, how does that get there? Our stomach breaks down the fiber, and then how does that get to the target?
Well, I mean, this is literally like a tunnel or a track. Everybody goes in one direction. And so your fibers will make their way down there. The issue is if you're trying to supplement with these postbiotics or the prebiotics, then you have to like create an artificial system because that's not what's normally happening. Your body is built for the foods to get there, but not for these extra supplements that you're taking. And so this becomes a really important thing for people to look at when you're buying a supplement or a probiotic that's not, the food or the prebiotics. When you're talking about the probiotics, you got to make sure that the capsule that it's in is going to get it all the way there. And so there's two really important things about capsules. One is that it has to be acid resistant because it's got to make its way through that stomach acid. And the second thing is it's got to have a time delayed release so that it makes it all the way to the distal colon before the capsule dissolves and releases the goods there. And this is expensive to get an acid-resistant, time-delayed release capsule. And so, when you go online and you're like, oh, I want to find the cheapest probiotic, just make sure that you're getting the one in the capsule. Otherwise, you're literally just scattering your money all over the freeway.
Wow. That's so important to know because I don't think a lot of us understand that, right? Like when you hear probiotic, there's a lot of products out there. You get them in sodas, you get them in like liquids. Is there any validity to those things? Are there certain strains that like need to live in the stomach? Are there certain strains that go in the small intestine? How come we don't know that?
Yeah, well, I think that's because the strains that we've kind of known about, the ones that aren't these oxygen sensitive strains, they are actually fine. Like yogurt, and actually a lot of people don't know this, but the probiotics that are in yogurts, they're called this whole family of lactobacillus strains. Yogurt processing here in the U.S. is you kill all the bacteria in there, and then they actually add that back in afterwards and mix it in. And so you're getting it's literally an additive. But these are the strains. Remember we said like, oh, there's some that can live right in that small intestine, right on the other side of the stomach. These are the ones that live there, and they're not oxygen sensitive because they're not way down in the distal colon, but they also don't do all those functions that we talked about that everybody wants, to boost their metabolism, their inflammatory and immune responses. And so it's not total bullshit, but you're not getting all that really good stuff that the gut microbiome and all this microbiome science is elucidating now for us. That's really important.
Feels like a lot of it's marketing.
A lot of good marketing.
And it's working, right? And even when you hear probiotics, you hear it's good for you, but like, I don't even know what it's doing for me, right? What are some functions? Like you kind of touched upon how it can help with cravings and blood sugar. Is that how we look at probiotics? Is it they have a function that they can have in our body? Is that a good way to think about it? Because I just want to get as many as I can get in.
Yeah, it's the way we've thought about probiotics until very recently is pretty blunt-ended. And so, like let's take vitamins because that's a field where we know, more, and it's also a supplement. And a lot of people think of probiotics and vitamins as kind of being in a similar category. If you were starting to kind of get a cold or get the sniffles, which vitamin would you expect me to which vitamin would you go shopping for? You're going to be like, well, I need some more vitamin D. You'd be like, no, I need vitamin C. And so we all have this kind of level of sophistication of, okay, if I want to boost my immune system, I got to go get vitamin C. If I'm trying to, supplement for other things, like what are the, vitamin K, vitamin D, there's different B12, there's different things that those different vitamins do. And yet for probiotics, you have these, thousands and thousands of different strains, and we're like, it's a probiotic. And so what we're learning now is different probiotics do different things. And so when you look at your label, and it doesn't really, most of these things have two names. And so how to read a label, don't worry about the second name so much. Like the education is really, the majority of what that thing does is in the first name. So there's lactobacillus strains, there's bifidobacterium strains. And so that's where you'll start to see, what am I tackling? And I hope that we will start to get to this level of sophistication. So like if you have leaky gut, you should probably be supplementing Akkermansia. And that's not in most of the probiotics that are on the shelves. And so they do have specific functions. I think it's just something that is pretty new information and isn't normal knowledge like it is for vitamins.